select these up to 20 works that we're going to put on this as a start. And so anyway, so Jeff's, he may have some ideas on this, and Monica as well. They've already been doing some thinking about this. And so anyway, if yeah, so take it from there. We do have some people there with some ideas on what we do have. I think about 10 or 12 on our gallery now. That would be a starting place, but you could add or subtract from that.
Yeah, and this is Monica. I don't know if everyone's comfortable with us compiling, I guess, a list of art and then maybe bringing it back and voting on the ones that we want to go with at first. Would that sound agreeable to everyone?
I think that sounds great. I think that anyone who has something specific in mind that they feel may be overlooked or hasn't been included so far should share that with you, and could reach out with the information that we all know is necessary, a photo or a locator, as well as a description and the artist. So I appreciate your offer to collect that, but I also want to encourage all members to provide their input. Is that acceptable to you, Monica?
Oh yeah, that sounds great. And I think Nancy just raised her hand.
Yes.
I did. Because performance art's going to be a little different, it would be good to have somebody to guide me through this and guide us through this, because I know what we're doing for theater products, and I know what we're doing, and I've been on tons of webinars with the American Association of Community Theater and other theater companies and so forth. So I would like to know who is the direct link to help mentor through this.
Yeah, I was going to suggest, Nancy, before we let Josh go, that Josh, maybe you could tell us, or you could tell us that you could send us sort of the formats and the types of information that you will need, so that as we're gathering this information on each piece and deciding which ones, we can go ahead and compile it in the right format, including video clips, and get those to you.
Sure. Yeah, I will compile that and send it over to you all. You know, to make things easier, kind of going forward. And then in terms of, you know, any deeper questions, I'd also be happy to, you know, have kind of a call with whomever it might make sense to be on that call to kind of go through any specifics that come up.
Great, thank you, Josh. If you could send those to Christy, and then we'll get those out to the group. Thank you.
Sure thing.
I know Jeff's present and he's been really quiet. Is there anything you'd like to offer, Jeff?
I think Mark has kind of covered it. We had just been talking one day about wanting a more detailed place where someone could go and discover our public arts throughout the area. Most of them do reside in the more historic areas of Independence, but a place that that people could land on, whether it be the city's website or other, that would allow them to discover those trails. And that's kind of when he connected me with this, I just kind of listed off a number of pieces that weren't currently on the Art Commission's website, and that's what kind of led us to this point. But so I'm happy to just help create that photography, create the back history of those pieces of art, and make sure that it's available.
Well, we appreciate your volunteerism. Thank you so much. So I guess we'll wrap this up and say that Monica and Jeff are going to propose a list to us by the next meeting. Is that right?
That sounds great. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
And all other members, in the meantime, make sure you have your input too, either Monica or Jeff, so that they are aware of that. And then your unique details, Nancy, will work through that. And if you have any issues where I can be of assistance, I'm happy to participate, but I think you are going to be in just the right hands. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. So I guess if there's nothing else, we'll move on to, we're going to actually skip and move to the art policy.
Yes, Mayor Weir, who's attending here, is an ex officio member, of course, of this commission, and she's the one that's really kind of launched this whole initiative. And she wanted us to follow up on something that you all had taken up earlier, which was development of an art policy. At one point, we got it to a certain point, and Monica, I believe, has a pretty decent rough draft, but we had to put it aside when the commission decided to put the focus on developing the mission statement, goals and objectives, and strategies. It's on the website under the indepthart.org website. So we got that done, but we never did finish the public art policy. And the mayor was just mentioning that there were some very important reasons why we ought to be taking this up again. So with that, if I could throw it to the mayor, if you don't mind, to maybe to echo some of your thoughts on the need for the policy.
Thanks, Mark. First of all, I just want to say thank you guys for doing such amazing work. When I started this arts commission, it was one of the very first things I did when I was elected mayor. I mean, I had it on my agenda during my campaign that this was something I wanted to get established, and I had no idea what it was going to look like or what it was going to, so you guys really are the pioneers for sure of helping to formulate what this group is all about, and you've done amazing work, and I'm really excited about the things I heard today that are in process. So, you know, one of the things that we took on early on was doing the 1% for the arts. That's fantastic. I mean, huge accomplishment, really impactful. We talk a lot about public art, but, you know, we just haven't quite completed that public art policy, which, you know, is needed in order for us to move forward with some of the projects that are being planned for and discussed in our city. And, you know, I'm not real clear. I mean, I know, Cindy, on some of your buildings, you know, you've done art. I mean, Vivalord did an art installation. So that doesn't fall under public art because those are, you know, on private structures. The project in Englewood, Stacy, the mural project on the comprehensive mental health building.
Englewood Art.
Huh? Yeah, the Englewood Arts Building, excuse me. I'm just not clear if that's would be considered private or public, but it just makes, I mean, there's just so much enthusiasm and energy happening that we really need to get this in place, because I certainly do not want the city to be in any way a stumbling block, you know, to making sure that we're encouraging the creative class and all of the things that we've been working on for all of these years. So I think we're really close. I mean, you guys have put in a lot of great work to draft a policy. Nancy, Mark had asked me, I reviewed the policy. He had asked me if I had any input regarding performing arts, which I don't. I mean, but I just don't quite know how to wrap my head around that. But if there's something regarding performing arts that should be included as public art, I mean, if we were going to do some kind of multimedia installation or something along those lines, that might just be something to spend a little time making. And we can always add. I mean, you know, we don't have to. This isn't, you know, something that has to last forever. It just needs to cover the bases of, you know, how you get approved to put something in, how's it going to be maintained, what happens if you want to take it down. I mean, just some of the basic stuff. I mean, who makes those decisions? And you guys are well on your way to doing that. So I'd really like to get that in front of the council for approval as soon as we can, because I just think there's a lot of momentum, and that's a really important piece to have in place. The public, another sort of aspect to this, we had in 2018 in our agreement with the Chamber of Commerce put public art, developing a public art pledge for the private sector as one of the deliverables. Cindy and I had visited with the Chamber a couple of times about that, and it just never got any traction. And I'm not, you know, I'm not sure exactly why that is. I mean, you know, there were other priorities, but it was a contractual expectation between the city and the Chamber. And Cindy will remember when we went to St. Pete, and, you know, that was one of the things that we talked about a lot with their Chamber of Commerce in St. Pete, Florida. And I know Stacy's been there, and, you know, and probably lots of other people on this call have been down to St. Pete, and it's really an artsy city. But all it really is we really can't compel people to dedicate 1% on private construction projects. You know, like, imagine if you had 1% of what Centerpoint spent on their expansion. That could be applied to public art either at their facility or someplace else in the city that they selected. But what we can do is just encourage local businesses, private businesses, to say, when we do any kind of capital improvement project, whether that's a new construction, renovation, expansion, we will consider contributing 1% of that cost to public art, either at our facility or someplace else in the city. And, you know, we think of, like I said, the hospital, I mean, Children's Mercy, you know, there's some really good examples of some places that seem to have that as a priority, and we just haven't really formalized that. And we really felt like the Chamber would be our best partner in reaching out to the business community and just encouraging their participation and adding their name to a list that says, we support the arts. We know that the arts are important to the economic growth and quality of our community, and they're not required to do it, but they signed a pledge saying that they would consider that. So while we were on this topic, I wanted to bring that up and encourage some more discussion about how we engage the Chamber to take that up and move that agenda item forward. Because lots of you on this call are more connected, intimately connected with the Chamber than I am, you know, as board members and member members. So those were the two things that I just wanted to touch on and discuss with the committee.
Well, first of all, Mayor, thank you for your compliments, and thank you for your encouragement of this commission. Good news on the policy portion is that good news to others of the commission is that the mayor and I have kind of had a conversation about policy and the need for policy somewhat recently, and I picked that back up. I don't think it's going to be a real challenge to get the policy itself in place. The part that's the challenge will be the process or the just the method, how to go from one step to the next, which is really just logistics. So I was hoping that maybe I could talk to independently any of you who might have ideas about that. We could talk in between our next meeting, and then I could give the idea of the process. For example, I want to put a mural on my wall. So you identify where the wall is, but who do you identify this information to? So we need to know the process that somebody who owns a building or wants to paint a mural should go through, what the steps are. So they're really basics. We just need to decide what that is, what those steps are. So if we can get that together, the policy will apply to that pretty seamlessly, and it will support all of the details that we need for, like the mayor said, installation, maintenance, all of those elements. I do want to speak to one point though, Mayor, that whether or not a building is public or private, the fact that the artwork itself is available or free of charge at public view, that does then constitute some policy requirements for public art.
Okay.
So we
Well said, Stacy, because I know we've had issues in the past of people, you know, painting their building, and then it's like, how does that impact the public?
Yeah. So those, yeah.
But like I said, things have been installed that would fit that criteria that didn't go through any process or policy, and I don't want to make it overly bureaucratic, you know,
right,
for people who just want to do something cool on their building, but we might just have, you know, a set of standards that they don't need approval, but they need to, you know, be within some guidance.
I think that the policy that is required is if it does require some amount of policing, that's whether brought to us by the general public or brought to us by anyone who's concerned by it, offended by it. It doesn't give the kind of message our city wants to be shared. We need to have that policing in place already. Mm-hmm. So that's really what the policy would, I think, need to address.
Yeah, no, that's going to take a little bit of, there'll probably be a bit of a legal review in that as well, just exactly what powers the city has relative to putting art on private property. I know it makes a big difference if it's in the square, because you do have the Heritage Commission, and there's maybe different levels of control that might be it might be not as much control as if it's on publicly owned space, and that's the kind of thing we need to research. So yeah, we can get to work on that on the staff end, see if we can research just what those layers of responsibility are.
Stacy, I would be happy to help with that in between. Maybe Chelsea could too. But, you know, Chillicothe, some of these others, you know, that we kind of looked at their policies and their procedures, have a lot of things in place that I think would work just fine for independence. I think maybe if the city could come up with a short statement of, you know, what should public art encompass. I mean, it can also be pretty vague, but it will help set a standard for us and for anybody looking to put something on the side of their building.
Right. I mean, you know, Byron put a statue outside of his law office. And I don't think, I mean, which is fantastic and just adds, you know, so much to the city. But I don't think, you know, I mean, Byron, did you have to get any, you know, permission from the city to do it? I know we put a light on it. So I think there is a little gray area that we should just clear up.
And once again, I don't think that's really a huge challenge because it's not the first time it's done. It's done all over the country. And so, Cindy, I appreciate your willingness to work through this with me. The part that I want to make sure is straightforward and simple is, what are the steps? What does one do when they want to have art? So we can make that really simple and support it then on the part where, I mean, the general public doesn't see, oh, look at all these rules. We just want the general public to see, here are the steps to having great art in our community. And we need to have whatever it takes, the backbone to have the policing that might be required at some other point.
Yeah, it's been a while since I looked at all those, but Chillicothe is the one that comes to my mind. Jeff Rogers probably has looked at a lot more recently than I have, but you know, I'm not above stealing for sure, but their application seemed pretty easy. And I don't know what board it went before, but.
That's the part we have to get squared away. That process is all that part. So I think that's doable, and I'm looking forward to talking with you and work through that to get your ideas. If that works for you.
It does. And I think, Mayor, I think the part for the chamber, I think maybe if we have something that's, you know, like a statement, you know, an encompassing statement of what art can be and can add to the community, and then plus that application, that's something that we could pass by the board to get behind. I don't know that we need a committee or anything, but I think the board, because we're bored, as in B-O-R-E-D, is something we could probably do right now.
Okay. Yeah, I have a letter that we sent to Tom Waters when he was the board chair, just kind of outlining what we were requesting. So I can dust that off and maybe add a little more specificity about what we define as art or public art.
Okay.
I just think it would be such a powerful statement for our city to have that private sector commitment, and that would be really phenomenal.
Yeah, well, not that it's competitive or anything, but Lee Summit and Blue Springs have sped ahead of us. So I think the chamber should jump behind this.
Yeah. Hang on one second.
Cindy, I don't disagree that this should be with the this challenge should be with the chamber, but I wonder if they're the appropriate party to reach out, since they're in the business continually of asking for money. This sounds like another ask. So I wondered if it should be something more like the Art Commission developing a campaign to support private art, that the chamber then would support the Arts Commission doing so.
I feel like that's probably, yeah, I think that's probably what we mean. I mean, maybe it's just really, we're just a vehicle. The chamber can be a vehicle to get it into businesses' hands where there's really no other way for businesses to know anything about it, because they're certainly not searching for it.
Exactly. We have to tell them.
Yeah, that was the idea, is that the chamber would advocate for that because they have the connection to the business community. And that the businesses would get some kind of recognition for signing on to indicate their support. So I'll find that and send it to Mark Randall. That was all I had.
Well, we appreciate you. thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I guess we can skip back if there's nothing else on this topic. We'll skip back. I know it's been an hour, and I want to be mindful of your very precious time. If we could just real quickly do a couple of things. I just want to tell you I'm skipping back to item 4, that the art planning and funding that we had a brief conversation about a couple of months ago was regarding the funding that I think that the Inglewood Arts secured, and there was a question about could we see what they presented to Rotary, and that when I made that ask, it actually developed into a whole different kind of response than I anticipated, and they have invited the art commission to the art commission members to a social where they would like to share that same presentation and a little bit other information, and just share information and be able to ask questions about the Inglewood Arts and what's going on with that project. So that date has now, I know I polled you all for a date, but that date has now been set for September 23rd at 5 o'clock, and it will be in a very socially distanced environment with doors open and so forth. So very limited participation, no business to be transacted, just information only. And you'll be receiving an invitation by email. I shared your email address with them. Is there anything else on that topic? Because otherwise I'm going to skip to other business, because I know there's a lot going on. And Nancy, do you want to give us an update on where you are with the performance, or is there anything? I know things kind of have changed now, so you want to share?
Actually, I sent a video out a couple weeks ago that the City Theater of Independence is shut down on stage at the Sermon Center at least through the end of 2020. We are currently working on different virtual types of performances and even some workshops and things. And what my intentions were when I talked about this particular thing that we just did with Story, is that with our living history interpreters also on hiatus because of tourism, perhaps doing ongoing stories from them on our, not only the art side, going to different places where these personas would have been, but just there's a lot of opportunity now for us to do this. So that's why a lot of it's interesting, because as I go to my stage performers, they get a little kind of jittery a little bit about, first of all, filming something. They're just not used to that, and they're very excited to get involved. So there's a lot of possibility right now. We're just trying to rope it all in and find the best vehicles and the best platforms to present those with. So that's where we are. And when the mayor was talking about earlier about public art and that would be free, the first thing that came to my mind were our living history interpreters, because that's what we are in Independence. It is an art form. It's a lot of different things that are going on, and it ties in so beautifully with just a lot of things in our community. My mind was like, I have to like take a lot of melatonin sometimes just to keep my mind to say quiet. So, but anyway, that's where I am right now. Other than being in Brisbane, Washington, I'm good. So.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share some? Cindy, you want to talk about the chalk walk?
Sure. Coming up next week, we are, the Independence Square Association and Inglewood Arts are teaming, and we decided to do kind of this organic chalk walk between the square and Inglewood, just to show how easy and really how short the connection is. And so we've put it out there. People can just pick a square or 2 or 3, we don't care, and just chalk art. So it's 2-day events, so that people can be social distanced and do it on their own time. And then by Sunday at noon, it should be completed. and so people can walk it and just kind of see it. We just thought we'd just start something organic and see how it went, and then next year maybe we can make a more formal event out of it, but it should be fun. I got my stick figures ready.
So, so that is the Friday the 21st, Saturday the 22nd, and Sunday the 23rd. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that third Friday is the 21st. And I know that the Inglewood Arts is having a ceremony in front of the building when they reveal or have available for the first time the first mural on the front of the Inglewood Arts building. So that's at 6:30. And anybody else have something else that is news for the art world?
I don't know if Jeff is still on, but we are working with Main Street National and AARP to get a small grant for what we're calling the Liberty Lounge, which is behind what the Blue Ridge Bank is now. It was the Hillcrest Bank, that's how I think of it. But it's on Liberty and Lexington, so behind where the teller stations are, and we've got a good area. We're creating what we're calling the Liberty Lounge, and we are working on what a mural can look like back there. Right now in my head it's butterfly wings, because I can do that for free. So I don't know what else we've got planned for that, but that we'll let you know about that, and I'll fill out the first application.
Terrific.
That we don't have done yet.
It's terrific. And I can hook you up with a mural artist. Anyone else? Now I'm going to close with some unfortunate information. I know that 3 commission members' terms expire next month, and I know that Tom Hall has resigned his position, I believe, and has chosen not to update his position. And I'm going to ask Cindy, how about you? Are you going to stay on? I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
I always forget. I sent the application in, so now it's in the city's hands.
Okay, and I think that I got my application in. Okay, so you're still stuck with me.
And I would like to take the opportunity just to let everybody know how much I've enjoyed working with everybody. And unfortunately for me, it's some of it's really just timing. I'm actually got involved with Big Brother's organization, and I want to spend some more time with my little on that. And I just wish you all the very best. And I certainly will try not to be a stranger and participate continually. But sometimes we get ourselves worked a little too thin on some things, and I just had to make a tough decision. But I just want to let you guys know that I really have enjoyed working with everybody, and I'm really excited for what's happening.
Thanks, Tom. We've really appreciated all you've done for us. Really appreciate your time. And we wish you well with your new project. That's exciting. Good for you.
Yeah.
Don't forget September 23rd, though.
Okay, I have that down.
If there's no other business, I will call for a motion to close the meeting. Is there anything else?
You don't need a motion.
I think Katie made a motion to close.
Oh, I can. I motion to close the meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wait, I have one other item. Is Chelsea still on there?
She is.
I am. Hi.
Hi, we saw that wonderful little guest you had there, and I think we ought to put that name in the minutes. That would be as another.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Lucy, and she's conked out for a nap, but she's happy to be on the commission.
That's great. That is fantastic. So that'll be her first official minutes that she'll be in. That's pretty great.
Great.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you so much. Yes, congrats.
Good job, Mark. Well, thank you all. I have a motion on the floor to adjourn.
I'll second, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
We'll meet again on September, I wrote it down, 10th, September 10th. Is that right? Yes, September 10th. And I'll be talking to you, Cindy.
I'll be here.
Thanks, Chelsea, for your help too. Thanks, all of you. You have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a
too.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.